Here we look at the F major scale. Which is a 7-note scale. And we'll determine those 7 notes by first looking at the C major scale and examining that scale in terms of the note spacings. And this will give us a formula that we can then use to determine the notes for our F major scale. Here's how we proceed. On the staff, draw a G clef, and our start note is a C. Then write in the 7-note scale by alternating lines and spaces. C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. And find the start note on the piano keyboard. The C major scale has all white notes. So D, E, F, G, A, and B are the 7 notes of that scale. Now we're going to analyze this C major scale. If we're on a white note, the next available note is this black note, and that spacing is called a half step. Similarly, if we're on a black note, the next available note is a white note. The spacing towards the next available note is a half step. Also note that from a white note, in this case an E to an F, these are consecutive notes, next available note. Again, this would be a half step. So here's my formula that describes the spacing of these 7 notes. From a C to a D is 2 half steps, which is a whole step. I write a W. From a D to an E, 2 half steps, or a whole step. From an E to an F is a half step. From an F to a G is a whole step. From a G to an A is a whole step. From an A to a B is a whole step. And then if we continue these 7 notes to get another note to come back to our C, we would use a spacing of a half step. So our formula is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Here's a ukulele fretboard that's tuned in C6. This fretboard of 4 strings would be appropriate for a soprano, concert, and a tenor sized ukulele. And also the 4th string, I'm using the low G option for that string. The 3rd string open is a C. So follow my formula for the C major scale. It's whole step to a D, whole step to an E, half step to an F, whole step to a G, whole step to an A, whole step to a B, then half step to the C. Here's how we find the notes for the F major scale. Draw your G clef, then your start note, the F, then alternate lines and spaces, space, line, space, until we have 7 notes. Locate your F on the keyboard and write your equation that describes the relationship between the spacing of the notes on the major scale. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And start with your first note and go up a whole step to G, a whole step to A, a half step to this black note here, which could be either A sharp or B flat, but only one of those two is correct. So go back to the staff. The fourth note is a B, so you know it has to be a B flat and not an A sharp. So B flat, put the flat in the key signature right up front to indicate that all the B's are flatted in F major scale. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and half step to get back to the F. On the ukulele, find the F. So here's C, D, E, F. Here's F. And then whole step, I'm going to put this as a parentheses because I'll play this G on the next string higher, which is G is here. So whole step, half step, whole step. Again, rather than playing the note here, which is a C, play it on the next string higher. Then whole step, and a half step to get back to the F. We found the notes of our F major scale by first considering the C major scale and then looking at how the notes were spaced on that scale. This led to an equation or a formula. And then to find the F major scale, we would go to our start note, write alternating notes on lines and spaces until we have 7 notes. Go to the keyboard for our start note of F, then use the formula to find the remaining notes. Where there is a black note, determine the correct spelling for that note by going back to the staff and then writing the appropriate symbol in the key signature. We did a similar thing with the ukulele, where we also, to make the playing of the scale more effective, went to another string to play the notes.